So I want to talk about coordinate systems and also relate coordinate systems to vectors. Coordinate systems are important in physics so that um, we can all agree on the placement or the displacement um, of something in terms of how we measure it. And so the intuitive idea is that we need to agree on what the direction for the x-axis is and what the direction for the y-axis is. And unlike your book, I would say that your x-axis is generally pointed in the horizontal direction, but not always. You've already seen one example where that's not true with the tilted axes and the inclined plane. And the y-axis is generally, but not always, in the vertical direction, with the positive direction being up. X direction positive convention is usually to the right. So having agreed on the directions for the axis, let me now draw four vectors A, B, C, and D, all displacement vectors and all starting at the origin and going outward from the origin. And furthermore, let's agree that one of these divisions on my graph paper is 1 meter. And here I've drawn an I vector and a j vector, unit vector in the x direction and unit vector in the y direction. So I can write each one of these vectors in unit vector form. Because I've drawn these coordinate systems, I now have a way of saying that A is equal to 4I hat plus 2J hat. And the 4I hat comes from 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 2J hat comes from 1, 2. So going around here, B is using the same approach, minus 2I plus 4J. Units are M here, so I'm sticking the vector in parentheses and putting the units at the end. And C is minus 2I minus 3J, M, meters. And D is 7I minus 2J, M. And if I hadn't established these axes, I wouldn't have been able to definitely agree on what direction I hat and j hat were pointed, and I couldn't have written this down. Okay, so here's some questions for you. Find the magnitude of B vector. Question 2. Find A vector plus C vector. Find the magnitude of A vector plus C vector, and find the direction of A vector plus C vector. Question 3, similar to question 2, except now you're adding all of the vectors in the above drawing. So find A vector plus B vector plus C vector plus D vector. Find the magnitude of that vector and find the direction of that vector. I want you to do these problems not graphically, but with the I hat, j hat vector component notation that I introduced in the previous chart.